It's a pleasure always to be talking on type 1 diabetes, which is a passion for me. For many years, last 10 years, we were trying that type 1 diabetes should be included in the forums, and there should be someone to listen to these talks. And last 5 years, I think the biggest leap is that almost every conference has some small symposium at least on type 1 diabetes. And I'm very happy that the number of people who are interested is growing. Today, I'm going to talk in the next 15-20 minutes is about the model for structuring the care for type 1 diabetes. So we all want to take care of children with type 1 diabetes or adults with type 1 diabetes, but we feel inadequate because what do you do next? How do you put them together? How do you do a follow-up? How do you actually manage the whole scenario in our Indian setup? So I'm just going to try to take you through this and share what we do in our NGO, which is in Aurangabad. This is Nick Jonas. I think after marrying Priyanka Chopra, it really came into limelight. But this was something that Nick Jonas is type 1 since he was 14, and he founded a group called Beyond Type 1. And when he says that it is almost the perfection is impossible, so I think it works both ways, chasing perfection for the person with type 1 diabetes as well as for the doctor. It is just an ongoing process. You can keep chasing and the goal just gets a little further away. So it's a journey. I don't see how it will have an end, but definitely it's an ongoing journey. Like Nick Jonas, we have so many young stars in the country. This is a team of young leaders from Diabetes India. This year in Jaipur, young leaders in diabetes were selected. This is one of the treks that we went into the rural part of Jaipur and did a trek together. So these were 40 youth from all over the country who represented, got trained, and are now further training type 1 children across the country. So just a casual photograph to share that this is happening very much in India. There are a lot of forums. If you have children, young people, adults who are smart, who want to get connected, there are a lot of forums across the country now where they can actually get connected and get empowered. So what are we wanting to do? What are we trying to achieve? My first thought is that every child deserves optimal care, irrespective of various parameters. We always say, what do we do when the child can't afford? So whether it's affordability, which could be an issue. So you could have different kind of children. You would have T1Ds who are really rich, who can afford the pumps, who can be on CGMS, who can do the latest technology, gadgets, everything. You would have people who are just middle class. They would shell out somehow if they are convinced, but they would also like to save some money because it's not easy for them. Then they're underprivileged who have no choice. They want to, but they just can't. It's so difficult to make the ends meet. And unfortunately, on all studies and also our own data shows that more children with type 1 diabetes are in the underprivileged group. Then education is a barrier. In spite of being highly educated does not always mean the best control. We all know that. Average education is what we see in most families. Some families are just literate, and often there are illiterate. But my point again is that irrespective of everything, they deserve to get optimal care. Being illiterate, being underprivileged, and not having accessible to care in the rural areas, semi-urban areas, there's some medical care, but not specialized care. And urban areas, at least, there is access to specialized care. Whether they actually access it or not is a different scenario, but at least it's available. So irrespective of what our child belongs to, it's very important that we do that. Again, a thought that each T1D care unit has to be a team. This is going to create problems because we want a doctor, we want educator, and we want the T1D family. By educator, I just don't mean one educator. I mean the nutritionist, the support system, the psychologist. But the triad would be like this. And again, accessing it in a semi-urban area or even in the cities to have adequate number of people who are trained in type 1 diabetes education and nutrition is a rarity. So we do not really have that many people. What do we want to give our children with type 1 diabetes? We want to give them treatment, which most of us will do that. But we also want to give them education. Education in type 1 diabetes is the cornerstone for management. There is no way we can change it. And another thought is that what you educate toddler, and what you do with a young boy, what you do with the adolescent, and as they grow older and when they're full-fledged adults, is totally different. So it doesn't stop. It's like putting a child in school until they're out of college and they actually start working. The whole phases are different. So it's going to be an ongoing education. It's not a one-time thing that I have given diabetes education and now you can go home and now you're empowered. So who is going to take this ongoing process? And that is the support that is needed. No matter how much education we give, the person with type 1 diabetes still needs support. Educational support, new knowledge support, all kinds of emotional support, psychological support, and scientific support. And mostly they need motivation. So without motivation, all other three just fall short. We know so many times that parents will not come back, the child will not come back. Motivation can make them overcome all the other barriers. So these are the 4 components we have to keep in mind when we design any kind of a clinic. But each has a challenge for us. We have a challenge of human resources. Where do we get adequate educators? A big team to take care of them. How do we get the money? Because it's not profitable to be treating type 1. Maybe that is why few people actually treat it. I mean, no matter what you do, you don't really make a lot of money out of them because there's a time restraint. The amount of time, energy, inputs that you give in, it's not going to pay back in terms of money. But of course, there are other rewards that we can look at. So do we just let these children be? Look at the hope in the eyes. These are children of Uran in one of the programs. So we just can't let go because we have limitations. So I just wanted to share what we did in Uran. And by sharing this experience, I'm hoping that we can translate into whatever level we want to do in our clinics. Uran was founded 20 years ago for children, underprivileged children. We have 652 children from rural areas currently supported. 60 of them are affording, 200 are middle class, and 392 are totally underprivileged. By totally underprivileged, I mean that they are bonded laborers, they are farm workers, they cannot afford even the transport money at times, so it is that bad. 42 of them are highly educated, 250 are okay, they are just educated, and 360 of them are barely literate. So they can see the glucometer numbers, they can read and write maybe their diary at times after training them, but nothing beyond that. 80 are urban, as in, I'm calling Aurangabad urban, which is a class B town. 100 are semi-urban, as they are in taluka places, and 472 actually live in villages, which means that they have to travel 10 kilometers minimum to come to the main road. So this is the kind of scenario that I'm talking to, and from the main road, they have to carry a transport and go. So these are the children we're working with. But this is the care that we want to give. I would like to go through this picture cyclically. So what happens in our clinic? So once the children come and their parents come, this is one section and this is the other section. So they will be segregated from parents and children. So one person, a type 1 leader or a coach will talk to the children, another one will talk to the parents. This is our consulting room. I mean, just look at this, a very atypical consulting room. These are different coaches who are doing one-to-one consultation. We don't have chairs, we don't have tables as such. It's an open hall, everyone sits on the floor because children and the families are coming from the villages. They feel very much at home and it is not resource friendly to be able to do that. So they're doing a diary check, etc. This is a volunteer, she's Adiba, she's a young girl who's volunteering to doing the glucometer check. So everyone gets their glucometer check. There's a pediatrician who volunteers are doing the pediatrician. So they're doing the height and weight and growth monitoring takes place. So in this way, this is a nutritionist who does the final check and she's giving them the glucometer strips and insulin. So we'll just go through how can we give this optimum care. So the first pillar was education. We designed a curriculum, 3-level curriculum, basic, intermediate, and advanced. Basic care, I call it the jungle book of survival. So anything that a child should know, a family should know for bare minimum survival. This is in Marathi. It is made of 100 questions. Every family, irrespective of their financial literacy status, should be able to do that, pass that, to be able to live without complications or without emergencies. Second is the intermediate level, and third is the advanced. Of course, we have people who can do carb counting, who can titrate their own doses and are really empowered, and we have to take care of them as well. We cannot forget them. When do we do it? When a child comes in, we enroll them into an induction phase, which is intensive. Because if we combine the older and the newer children, then it's not the same intensity for all. So the newer children come into the induction intensive phase, they come for teaching every 15 days, until we are very confident that their basic skills are acquired. So every 15 days coming is not easy, as I said, they're underprivileged. Often we have to sponsor their trip, give them incentives, tell them we'll give you this, we'll give you that, and all kinds of incentives work. But we tell them if you invest the first 4 or 5 trips with us, later on it will really pay in big returns because hospitalizations goes down dramatically, emergencies are not there, and this is something we are usually able to convince for 95% of the people. Only 5% are difficult to handle. A compulsory teaching later on one-to-one happens once in 2 months. So the follow-up once they pass the basic level is once in 2 months, and advanced workshops we keep having every 15 days. We call people who are specialized in it because they are children who graduate further. Now they need to know more intense, more detailed carb counting. They want to be able to manage their doses. They design their own regime. So this opportunity also is to be there, and this is for people who are already motivated. Hence we don't have to grab them and bring them. These are people who come voluntarily. Who does it? As I said, we have such a lack of human resource. So this is something I'm very happy to share. We have only 4 educators and nutritionists who are qualified for this entire 650 children that I'm talking about. Obviously, it is sadly inadequate. And I tried my best to lure everyone across the country with all kinds of incentives. Please come to Aurangabad and settle there and be my educator and nutritionist. Nobody wanted to come to rural part of the country. And we didn't have any resources. So we created our own. The mother coaches. We have currently 12 who have already been trained, and there are 15 who are undergoing training. Mothers of type 1 who took very good care of their own children. We designed a curriculum and trained them for 3 months. We call them the D-moms, and they are now coaches. So they now form the bridge between the child, the doctor, and the educator. So these D-moms and a team of 18 trained young people with type 1 diabetes who took very good care of themselves, again they underwent a very rigorous training program. They're constantly reassessed. So this team of 30 is our team who takes care of the 632 children that we have to take care of. And creating this, and these people come from that part of the country. They are from the rural area. They know the jargon. They know the myths. They know what goes wrong up here and what are the inhibitions. So they're able to communicate so well that this bridge is adequately taken care of. How do we do it? We train these trainers at regular interval. It's very, very important because they can get overconfident. We have to draw a line that what not to do, not just what to do, but what not to do. And each coach or leader has a family, teaches one family, and it's a structured log sheet. So it's not just that you do it and forget about it. They have to fill up the log sheet and submit. So if the coach has seen 20 children today in the entire day, I have a log sheet of 10-point program where I get that feedback. So my educator will see it and I will see it. So that way it's a hierarchy and no child is missed. After education, which is ongoing forever, there is a support that is needed. Our children are so far off that, as I said, day before yesterday only, we had an emergency in the night at 1 a.m. A girl was found unconscious. Her mother was illiterate. They had no vehicle, and they've called the helpline, and we had to mobilize an ambulance and a nearest parent because the 10-kilometer distance from the field to come to the road, another 30 kilometers to the nearest clinic of a doctor. So sometimes it becomes very difficult. In this kind of scenario, we have 24/7 helplines, which are run by our educators. We have WhatsApp groups. Interestingly, even in the remotest of villages, WhatsApp exists. So internet is such a beautiful thing. I mean, I love it just because of what we can do with our rural children who we can't reach otherwise. And these children are so happy to be on WhatsApp groups. So we have endless WhatsApp groups. My phone is full of WhatsApp groups. It's not me. I keep silent. So each WhatsApp group is 25 people of similar age group and similar background. And there are coaches and elder children who are in that. And they keep posting their diaries. They keep posting their queries. We keep posting and replying. And if something else is needed, it would be a personal call. We have a dada or a didi. In Maharashtra, dada is elder brother, and tai or didi is an elder sister, and these form the head of one cohort. So we have 5 children for one dada. They will take care of 5 children. Their job is to call at least once a week and again find out whether they had HAPO, did they miss school, did they not go to college. So it's a very personal, active care which we try to provide simply because these children and their families would not do it on their own. Then every area we have tried to identify one nodal point where in case of emergency, who can help them. Usually it is a parent of a type 1 who take a bike in the middle of the night and go to another type 1's home and give them the insulin, or whatever is missing, and help. And this has happened so many times that it is our biggest support system. Motivation. All the support in the world, all the insulin in the world, all the education in the world, and no motivation, and everything falls flat. So we run a Palakshala where we teach parenting to the parents without the children, because parents can be very negative. Our first level starts from motivating the parents to let their children live. In rural part of the country, they say, he's not going to get married, he's not going to earn money, he's a liability, why should I invest on the child? So I don't know why, but it seems people have children as an investment. And if it doesn't seem like a good investment, then they just lose interest in taking care of the children. So it takes us 6 months to 1 year to show them that your child is a great investment. We have to talk their language. So we have a lot of T1D clubs. We find it easier to motivate kids than parents. In the clubs, we have a dance club, creative club, running club. And I realized as an experiment that you can talk about diabetes as much as you want, but what motivates them to take care of their diabetes is when they're running, when they're dancing, when they have a dream. So caring for diabetes cannot be their goal of life, but wanting to become something, wanting to dance, wanting to be an artist, or whatever they want to do in life, and using care as a stepping stone is something that motivates them. So peer pressure, peer group learning, participation is something that really makes them motivated, and we feel that has brought a sea of a change in our children in Udaan. This is just sharing one of the, Dr. Bansi Sabu was supposed to be here, but we have a type 1 challenge. India runs a 1-up challenge. If you have type 1 youth who is very active, this was the first trek that we did on Kalsubai Peak. The second one last year was on Chandrakhani Pass. And Udaan's children who are like from remote villages and who would have otherwise, they'd never seen a train, let alone a hill or a city or a plane. So the first time it was a train journey. But these are the kind of children who made it. Treatment, I have to confess, the motivating factor why we can support these children is because it's free. I often say that all this would, it's a carrot which brings them there. But I say that maybe using this carrot of free insulin, free glucometers, free strips, empowers them and motivates them to start taking care of these children. So of themselves. And that starts a cycle. After a year, I think even if we stop giving free, they would still take care. But the first part, the whole financial barrier is so great that it is a deterrent to want to take care. So it really works well. And all investigations, all this funding, see, I can't do it alone. We have to get money from somewhere. So that funding, we try to raise from where, and that is what I'm going to share again. So human resources, we overcame by training our own DMOMs and making them coaches. Finances, we raise funds. All my type 2s will like to support a child. CSR funding, we've been trying. A lot of pharma companies help us in doing HbA1c, some donate insulin, some give strips, and in this way we are able to do all the investigations which are required and recommended. Time constraint, we designated 2 days entirely to type 1 care, and then since team is there, this process goes on, and children know that every Friday, Saturday, they can just walk in, and there'll be somebody to take care of them, and they will see other bright faces, other parents, so many. The first thing a child says when they walks in, what? Everyone has type 1? There's so many like me. I didn't know that, because every school has just one child. That village would have one, a doctor would have one. So the most important feeling is, it's why me? It's only me, and that really changes the moment they come in a group. So what is the purpose of sharing this? The purpose is that I feel that whether you have 1 child or 10 or 1,000, whether you're in a village or whether you are in a very urban, very, very sophisticated, technologically advanced center, we need a structured program. So a structured program really helps us to face the challenges and overcome them innovatively. It also helps us to evaluate and improve our outcome. In 20 years, we kept facing challenges, we kept improving on them. We kept facing challenges, we kept improving on them. Nothing happened at one go. It was not a designed program. One summer, we found that the heat has destroyed the insulin for everyone in Marathwada. That day it was 48 degrees. That year we made the earthen pot and put it on our YouTube, and it's a 100 rupee earthen pot that stores insulin cooling. So innovation comes when there is a necessity and a need, and that can only happen when we have a structured program. Again, it ensures individualization of treatment. Individualization, because unless it is structured, it's so easy to miss a few children. My constant fear is there might be a group of children that I've totally missed. So having this hierarchy of 5 children with a dada or didi, 25 children with a coach, 50 children with an educator, and then finally the doctor and the team. Somehow on my phone right now, if I want, last 15 days would be the biggest gap that I have an update of any child, in spite of having 635 children. So that is a kind of hierarchy that we wanted to create, and hopefully we feel it's working very well. So my thought is that please make a structured program, whether it's for 2 or 5 or 10, it doesn't matter. And it also gives a type 1 a roadmap to follow. Otherwise, it's very confusing. What do I do next? Where am I going next? So that was the purpose of sharing this process. It is said that it takes a village to raise a child. And for a type 1 diabetes, a child with type 1 diabetes, I think it holds more true than ever. So each age is a challenge. It's a journey. I don't see it's going to be lifelong. I still have girls who are getting married, and now they come to us because they're pregnant, and that again needs to be managed. So it's a whole journey which is just not ending. And so my appeal to everyone, that's create this beautiful village for every child in every possibility. Let's be innovative. And if we can do it to some extent humbly in the rural Maharashtra, I'm sure we all can, to give a better life to each child with type 1 diabetes. Thank you so much.